What's good? What's good? What's good? Hey, I say things. I put some on Facebook today saying how I say things, just talking shit, and I really don't mean no offense to nobody. But I also realize that not many people really know me. Truth be told, there's very few people who really know me. If I had to name them, I mean, it's not even hard. I'd say Ulysses and Axel Ortiz. They know me as far as they know my soul. They know who I am. I had a friend Carrie, forgot his last name, but I found out recently that he actually died of a drug overdose, and he was never someone you would have thought that would have happened to. He knew me a little bit, and Ralph, Wilmer, they know me to a point, but there was still a disconnect I had even with them, even though at the time, those to me were my friends. But there's a lot of things that they didn't really know. The first people I said they know me because they actually knew of my family. I mean, even my friend Eric, crazy Eric, man, wild Eric, man. He knew me a little bit because he knew of my family. Now, when I say knowing me, you can't really know me unless you know what I come from. People, you always saw me playing sports. That was my way of making friends, That was my way of meeting people, and I was always competitive. I always thought if you could do it, I could do it. I had that mentality. Still do to a point, but age is kicking my ass a little bit, which I'm not happy about. Not at all. But I want to let you know who I am, and I think the only way is for me to open up about some of my history, what you don't know or never seen, because nobody went to my house. The reality is, my father left when I was about 2. I didn't have memory of him. I'd see him maybe once every 5 years or so, and then it would always usually end on turmoil. One of my first memories at 3, his girlfriend at the time was trying to beat my sister's ass, and she was aggressive towards both of us, and my dad didn't know that until one day he came home, or he forgot something at the house when he left to work, and he saw what she was doing, which led to my mother trying to kidnap me and my sister. And I was about 3 years old. Not to mention, right the day before that, I fell out of a tree. Like, straight up, I fell out of a tree. I was told I was actually climbing before I walked. But yeah, that's my first memories. My mom later remarried when I was about 4 to my stepfather Tim, who he had his own issues, which helped me to forgive him. But there was no real love there from him. And he put his hands on me a few times. He didn't hit with love. He hit with aggression. He fucked me up a few times, man. But I'm not gonna get too deep into everything. But I'm just doing you a quick overview. So my mother, God bless her soul, I love her, man. And but she came from a rough family too. Both of her parents died. I think her dad barely lived to 50, and her mother died in her 40s. And the father was an abusive alcoholic, and she was the only girl of 3 boys. Two of my uncles, 2 of the 3, they already died of overdoses. My cousin died of an overdose as well. And we didn't grow up with none of the family because my mother had a lot of issues with her family. So not only did my father leave when I was 2, but my mother left her family around the same time. So I didn't grow up with any family. I grew up with my mom, my older sister, and my stepfather. There was no love for my stepfather. My mother had she had a narcotic issue, for a long time. Too long to even explain. But she was bad, but I could see now, I could look back and appreciate the fact that she did try to love me And the times that she wasn't loving me, I was able to see that she had her own issues. You know, she was lost. At the same time, my older sister, she was 5 years older than me. When I was 10, she was sent to a girls' home. But even before that, you know, she was the one that was watching me, but no one was watching me. She had me around kids when I was, maybe 6, 7 years old. And I was getting into shit that I shouldn't have been getting into. I was arrested for shoplifting at about 6 years old. I was smoking cigarettes, you know, all kinds of shit. 6 years old, almost molested. I say almost, but the whole situation was, you know, it wasn't right as a kid. And I remember it, and I used to try to block it out of my mind and not think about it. But that also kept me in my thieving. You know, I used to steal a lot. I always felt like I couldn't get nothing. My parents weren't giving me much, but looking back, you know, they did their best. You know, I see things differently now, but at the time, you know, I was shady, man. And when I was 15 years old, I actually ran away from home. You know, this was when this is just turned 15 before this, but I had a situation with my mom where my mother was always lying to me, and I see now it's because she was high, but I got tired of it because as a kid it really affected me, and to a point that I was begging, like, please, if you can't do something, just don't lie. And well, she did again, and I was so bothered by it that I went off on her. I called her a lying bitch, and next thing I know, my stepfather backhanded me. He put a hole in my eardrum, and I ran away. And thank God Ulysses Ortiz and Saul, you know, Axel, man, their family let me in. And it all came down to the mother remembering me playing basketball for Liberty in 8th grade, that very first game where I got in near halftime and lit it up. I had like 13 points, and you know, I killed it. And she remembered that game, and she didn't speak a whole lot of English, but she was like, you know, gringo, tila bola muy bueno. And you know, next thing I know, I'm living with them. You know, all three of us had to sleep in a fucking waterbed. Sucked. But it was important for me to prove not only to them but to myself that, you know, I wasn't an idiot. You know, I was in learning disabilities courses for many years for my inability to put my thoughts on paper. But it wasn't that I was slow, is that there was no parenting, there was no reading books, there was none of that. And I didn't care for it either, you know. And so I made it, you know, a point to prove something, and I ended up having the highest GPA change in the school. I went from a 1.0 to a 3.0. Actually, after barely getting even through 9th grade center. In 9th grade center, 20 referrals, you get expelled. I had at least 30, but I never turned them in. I'd just go play basketball. You know, I didn't care because I didn't have happiness at home. Well, when I lived with you know, the Ortizes, the love they gave me made me, you know, love myself. On top of that, I had a motivational speaker come in one day that really, you know, really helped me. And only to find out he was murdered a week later. You know, Lee Norris Raham. Matter of fact, I dedicated the book I wrote to him, and the first copy went to his wife. So there was a lot of things going on, you know. But ultimately, you know, my parents ended up wanting me to move back home. But in doing so, my mother was no longer there. My stepfather was always angry. You know, we didn't have a relationship. But then I found out that my mother was actually having an affair. She left my stepfather, and even worse, the guy was HIV positive. So I didn't know if my mother was dying, and I didn't know if she would ever be honest with me because she always lied to me, and that really fucking tore me apart. I mean, it hurt me like you don't even know. I mean, it everything positive I was doing, it went out the back, and next thing I know, I'm dressing up in all black. I'm going to neighborhoods every night. I'm robbing from everybody's cars. I'm literally just stealing shit. And, you know, it accumulated. And the next thing I know, I'd end up getting arrested for shoplifting. Like, literally just greedy shit. Like, I had like 3 bags. And what I didn't know is when I was in juvenile, you know, that night, my parents boxed up everything that was stolen. Because my mom had, at that point, made up with my stepfather and came home. And next thing I know, they called the police on me, and I woke up to that in the morning. I didn't know, and I was bugged out because a lot of my issues was because of them, and for them to turn me into the police was, was crazy for me. I was able to get off on everything. I completely bullshitted. I lied my ass off. I was good at that, because that's how I grew up. That's what I knew. And I joined the Navy at 17. I actually signed the paperwork, only to go to the military and end up in a boot camp that actually changed Navy rules, where we had like 7 suicide attempts, and I'm the only one that witnessed the whole thing. I mean, my stories I'm telling you now, there's so much more depth to everything, but there's a lot I went through. And next thing I know, at 19, I would come home only to find out my parents moved. Recently, I mean, soon before that, they moved. As I got stationed in Florida, they moved to Indiana because both of my step-grandparents died when I was in that, not even 2 years in the Navy. That led to me smoking weed, which led to me hustling, which led to me selling 10 pounds every other day. But spiritually, I always had something going on because something loved me, something was still there for me because I was never a bad guy. I was lost. I didn't have anybody. My best friend growing up, besides Joey, was my cats. I had a cat next to my head ever since I was a baby. The most love I ever got was a cat. It still is. So, when you don't see me around people, it's because I keep people at a distance because I'm a very emotional guy, as you see. But I've been through a lot. But I've learned to forgive, and I learned to love myself because I learned to realize all those issues I went through. How lucky am I to have been born? How lucky am I to be able to have this conversation? And with everything that's going on right now, man, I want you guys to realize, fuck the bullshit. You're a gift. You are a gift. And the more I started realizing that, the more I started being able to open up. Because no one heard from me for years. When I got back on Facebook with the trucking and all that, it was in the book that got published, something was happening spiritually. My faith has grown tremendously. I'm still not, I wouldn't say I'm a religious guy per se, as far as, I don't think any religions are wrong. I just think a lot of religions are wrong for thinking they're right and everyone else is wrong. I believe totally in creation now. And I've been through so many crazy things that makes me realize it's true. I mean, crazy. I could go on for another hours talking about that. I think what we're going through right now is something that it's very spiritual, and you need to connect with your soul and realize that you need to become humble. The humble man is going to get through this, because the humble man is going to be appreciative of the life he was given. And I just want to spread the love that I finally have for myself. But I also want you to realize why I didn't have it and why I'm sometimes erratic. I'm a little off. But I don't think I'm any more off than people I've seen. And the people who live in a glass home and make everything seem so perfect. You got to open up. You got to stop fearing what people think. Matter of fact, we got to stop fearing anything, because we were already given the greatest gift. If I die tomorrow, I will have had, almost 42 years. Anybody who thinks I didn't choose to be here, you got to change that perspective. You're a gift. How dare you say I didn't choose to be here? What, you'd rather choose nothing? Come on. So anyways, I'm just happy to be able to start expressing myself, because I really got a lot to talk about. But I don't mean talk about to make you love me. I mean talk about to make you love you. So I'm gonna end on that. Anyways, I love you.